We have not gone live in a long time. Hi, Facebook. Hello, hello. It's been a while and I haven't missed you all. But I am so happy to be in front of y'all this evening to talk about love, to talk about letting go, talking about moving forward. Right now, we are talking a lot about no contact on the podcast and in the channel, letting go of trauma bonded relationships and places where you feel over attached. And as I was thinking about that and the common things that happen when people are over attached and trauma bonded, is how sometimes when you do get the energy and the strength to let go of someone and move forward, you get all like pumped up and you feel all good. And then after that, you start to have a little bit of amnesia. You start to forget all of the things that happened that caused you to need to make a break with that person. And sometimes the amnesia is because you are lonely. Sometimes the amnesia is because you're overconfident in your ability to handle what the other person is doing or not doing in your relationship. Sometimes it's because they're just good and they're just that smooth, right? And so what I want to talk to us about tonight, or today, if you're watching this the next day, is the importance of not getting amnesia and forgetting what is going on. Okay, so if you're ready for that, go ahead and put a heart in the chat. It's been a while, but my OGs, if any of my OGs are joining me tonight, you can go ahead and let's get the party started back. Thank you, Sunshine, for the badge. I really appreciate it. That's awesome. And I already have some comments coming up. Plan to buy Mania says you must read my emails. Girl, here's the thing about the topics and the timing and the me putting these things out. I just feel I notice the trends and I notice what's going on. And I think it just all energetically syncs up, right? So with that said, if tonight's topic pertains to you not getting amnesia of when someone hurts you, let me know your questions and your thoughts in the chat. If this is your first time joining me, first of all, I need to introduce myself. My name is Sheena Lachey. I'm the founder of Black Girls Heal. And what I do here is I help women heal from the symptoms of love addiction, love avoidance, and love deprivation, and the trauma that causes it to make way for healthy relationships with themselves and with others. And so we do that via our podcast. We do that via coaching, via programs, via newsletters when they're consistent. There's a lot of different ways that we being me, put information and support out there for you. And so welcome if this is the first time for you joining. And I'm so happy to see y'all again too. Hello. Okay. Let me make sure I have the chat open on Facebook so I can answer your questions as we go along. But here we go. So why can you explain what you mean by getting amnesia? Yes. So what I was saying at the beginning is that, and I'm happy to recap because I know a lot of people just joined. So it is when you forget all of the bad times. And so it's glamorizing the relationship. And by the way, this is not only for romantic partnerships. This is if you have a toxic relationship with a mother figure or a father figure. This is a toxic best friend that y'all continue to get into fights. And then things are all honeymoony and they feel really nice. And then you want to try again. And you completely discount, minimize, ignore, excuse the red flags that were happening before, right? And you may say something to the effect of, that's just who they are, and you start to kind of think, well, I can deal with it. So one of the examples that I said in the introduction is you'll say something to the effect of, well, I know how they are and I know what my standards are, so I'm just going to be mindful. I am just going to make sure that I set boundaries and I correct it when it happens. But here's the thing, when you're trauma bonded to someone, usually you're trauma bonded to people because they represent earlier things that you went through as a child. So it's very easy for you to slip back into place of where you were with the person that represents or where that energy is. So what that means, if If I am with someone who triggers my co-parenting or my codependency trauma, what I'm going to do when they start to act up is I'm going to try to fix them and to teach them how to be better. And I'm going to have to try to, make space for them, because I've learned that other people's bad behaviors does not mean that I'm allowed to make boundaries. It still is my job to fix them. It's my job to come in and save, right? If my trauma is based on making myself needless and wantless, no matter how strong and boundaried I am with other people, the subconscious thing that will happen is whenever I'm around them, is either for me to minimize my needs and to go to self-deny and to try to like ask for permission and then to apologize for taking up space and that kind of thing, right? So let me know if that makes sense when I talk about getting amnesia. And so this happens, and I talk about it a little bit in today's podcast. Today's podcast, I talk about 7 ways to cope with a breakup from a situationship, or 7 steps to cope with a situation from a breakup from a situationship. um, and so in there, I talk about how we are built to attach to people. It is not a weakness. It is not a sign of failure. It is not something that you need to push out of you and like push down and repress your desire to attach and to care for people. The problem is when we give those that unending forgiveness and extra chances to people who don't deserve it. And then we end up brokenhearted, our trauma gets repeated, and it makes it that much harder for us to want to know how to be open to letting in other people who are healthy and who are available, right? And so the amnesia happens because our bodies um, they want resolution. They want things to be status quo. They want things to be familiar to them. And unfortunately, until you do the work in your body and in your mind and in your spirit to get that out, the status quo is drama. It is trauma. It is something that starts off good and then goes left. It is something that feels really nice, except for one little thing. It is being all romantic and everything, and then getting in a fight. It is being with someone who only wants to use you for what you can do for them. Um, trauma has a habit of just sneaking up, right, and coming back up. And so that is the intro. So is there any way you can come back and watch this later? Of course, hon, we're going to save this. Let's hope I do not get a phone call, because if so, Instagram, we're going to get this in 2 parts, but this will be on Facebook and YouTube for my folks to watch it full there. So Yolanda said, yes, makes sense. Awesome. Mickey said, hey, I just started playing the episode. And then I was like, wait, let me follow. Then boom, here's the live. Well, hello. Happy that you're here, my love. Okay. So let's see, where was I going? So not getting amnesia. So what do we do? I want to ask y'all, what do you usually do when you are in a relationship with anybody, friendship, romantic, family, that you feel is either disrespecting you, or you feel like there's consistent hurt and things that just aren't working? What do you do to make sure that you do not fall prey to being in that same pattern all over again? I would love to hear from y'all. Hey, good to see you. And I'm gonna take a drink while I wait, because I know it takes a little minute to type things out and get your stuff out. Thank you, Mickey. Mickey says, just happy to be here. Love it, love it, love it. Sophisticated cleaning says that's hard. It is hard. And if you don't know what you do, I would love to hear why it's hard for you. But one reason it's hard is, I already says, because we love people. I think also another reason why it's hard is, especially those who are here and we're all like in this space, like you're watching this live, we are doing our internal work. Like, we come with all of these skills, all this communication, all this ability to resolve conflict, and we are ready and willing to practice, right? And so when someone is acting up, when someone is being disrespectful, when someone is breaking our boundaries, we want to practice what our therapist told us, which is, hey, when you do this, this hurts my feelings, or this is what I need from you. Or, when I asked for this to happen and this continued to happen, I didn't feel supported, I didn't feel loved. And we're doing it with people who, whether or not they can't, they don't know how to, or they don't want to, they're not able to show up for us in the way that we need. And so continuing to hit that wall feels demoralizing. But that's why we do it, because we're healthy people, because we're doing our work, right? But part of that work is starting to realize, what are red flags, and how do you know when somebody is available? So sophisticated cleaning says that she gives them space and praise whenever she feels like she's in a relationship with someone that may be unavailable or toxic or unhealthy. So give it space and pray. Hope that it works out. Crimson Elite, hey love, says I go to yoga, I write questions down, and I get sad. So little feedback on that. I love that you go to do yoga and you get in touch with your body and you get grounded. So much of our trauma and our rejection and our abandonment happens in our body even before it reaches our mind, right? It's like our body feels it crumple, it feels heavy, it feels weighty, and then it gets up to our brain, and then our brain is like, huh, I think that there is a problem. And the reason I say that is because I have identified as love addicted and love avoidant, and my love avoidant is a busy body. She is fantastic at getting me in things to run from my feelings. And so I would be very distracted and doing lots of things and being in the mix, only to find out later, hey, maybe something's going on. Maybe I'm sad. Maybe I need to actually get in touch with what I'm trying to distract myself from. The writing questions down, I'm curious about if you're writing questions down that you have for them, or if you're journaling things like, why has this happened to me? And why is this going on? What am I doing to attract this? And as much as I love self-work, if the questions are more self-loathing and self-defeating, you are reinforcing the messaging of the the impact of the bad behavior of other people. So they are acting as if you're worthless. So you're like, I'm worthless, but you're not worthless, because someone else has her own mental blockers on that has nothing to do with you. And I know people say that all the time, and I say that all the time, but it's not as easy to receive, right? So yeah, and you get sad. So I love that you're acknowledging the sadness. Your girl Anaya says, I love your podcast. Thank you, Boo. Thanks for being here. Hey, Danielle. Hey, Chandala. Chandala says she checks in with her feelings, friends, and therapists to bar and get another check. Yes, I love that you're reaching out for support and asking people what they think, is to check the facts. So that is a skill that I really, really try to emphasize with people, because your feelings are not facts, no matter how strong they feel, and no matter how good your discernment is. If y'all listen to the podcast, if y'all are not new here, you've heard me say before, my intuition is A1. My discernment is impeccable. But you know what voice is also really strong? The voice of my unhealed trauma, of the gaps in the places where I'm not as attuned to. And that voice is like, they're thinking this and they're doing this, and I'm sure of it. And so it really helps, even if you have gotten this far, taking care of all your feelings on your own, it really helps to step out and get feedback and support from healthy people. Do not get support from Tanya, who's going to tell you, to run the fake, to go off on them. Like you don't want people who are not going to add to your growth in the direction that you want to, no matter how good it feels. Get you some friends that are going to tell you the truth in love. Nareka says, I limit to talk about things that are important to me. So you limit what you share with them around things that are important to you. So yes, that's great. You pull back. Crimson says it's definitely hard because you hate to let go, yet you're the person that's hurting from the issues. Yeah. And the thing about people who are unavailable, sometimes they really don't care. It's not on their radar. And sometimes they're so consumed with their own pain that they can't really see yours because they want you to see their pain first. And so it's like you come to them with something that is going on with you, but then they make it about them. And so that can be really frustrating. Again, if your trauma is like mine, that is quick to rescue, to minimize your needs, to make space for somebody else, it can be really easy for you to be like, either consciously or subconsciously, oh my God, this person is in crisis. Let me go and, attend to them and help them because I want to be fair and I want to be open. And girl, you got to get to a place where you're like, it's okay for my feelings to one, be acknowledged. And for two, for you to be in a little bit of distress while you are attending me. Um, because again, the ways that we do it, like us here in this type of space, this healing space, when we go to people for support, hopefully, if this is not what you're doing, then this is what we need to work on. If you go to people with your feelings and what you need and what's hurtful to you, you're not coming from a place of judgment, of that you're not good enough, that I hate you. Like you're not coming with that energy. You're coming with the spirit of resolution. So if you're coming with a spirit of resolution and collaboration and genuine love, and that person is still not able to receive that, then that is more about their trauma and what they're going through. And there's no amount of you laying down on the ground and letting them, get all their feelings out that's going to help them with that. And then also going back to, the point of you standing in your worth, I think one of the things that we have to unlearn who have been neglected, emotionally neglected, mentally neglected, physically neglected, financially neglected, is that it's okay for your emotions and needs to trump someone else's in the moment. It's okay for you to be just as important as the other person. Okay. So yeah, Mickey says I'm still learning to advocate for myself and not feel guilty about it. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard not only because of, like I said, you're used to putting yourself last. You have been trained since day one to feel as if you're asking for too much just to even use your voice, you know? And so it goes against everything that's built into your body. So of course, Baby Lock says, except sometimes I want to flip a table before you go and ask your therapist and ask for support. Yes. The ambitious girl says we make excuses for them. Absolutely make excuses for them. Rose from Concrete, hey girl, says I'm having a situation like that right now. So I have a breathwork session next week to hopefully help. And I have a coach to do EMDR with sometime to help with my feelings of unworthiness from childhood. Love it. Love it. Those are both great things. Love that for you. When you post this, I want to be able to see the replay. Yes. Lady the Empress says, quite hard when someone argues this way with you, that what they feel and believe is true is really true when they didn't consider your reality. Blinders. Yes, that's what I mean, the blinders. So it's really hard, but in a healthy relationship, this is not the toxic people that we're talking about right now, this tonight, but I want to say this here. In a healthy relationship, it is hard because you're both healthy, you both are very aware that my feelings matter and your feelings matter. And even though you are aware of that, especially if you have a trauma where people didn't listen to you before and people they exploited your feelings, they felt like you were being too sensitive and they just completely discounted you, you are going to have an initial response that's like, unless you affirm and validate me right now, you never loved me. And everything that you said is not true, right? And so there could be blinders on to try to protect themselves from, or you protect yourself from that person re-injuring you the way that you've been hurt before. I've done this before. I've been in these type of conversations. I can see where this is going. I can see that you're not going to listen, and cutting it off or blowing up or, um, you know, falling back and appeasing and trying to give them what they want. There's a lot of different things, ways that your trauma can show up. But yeah, having blinders on both sides can be really hard. Um, yes, very frustrating. Lady the Empress says, I get it now. Why we minimize? Man, oh man, this talk is right on time. I'm going to rewatch this when it's posted and take full notes. I love that, love that, love that. Okay, so we are talking about not getting amnesia when they hurt you. So I'm going to recap the topic and I'm going to tell you what I suggest for you to do. So we're talking about not getting amnesia in toxic relationships. So people who have shown that they are unavailable, that they are not able, willing, don't know how to, don't want to protect you, to hold space for what you need, to listen to you, and to affirm you. And so I'm saying to not get amnesia, meaning do not, once things slow down a little bit and when people are starting to come around and be nice again and they're trying to woo you and they're trying to insert themselves, or you're bored. How many relationships do we restart because we're bored? Because we have nothing else to do, or low key, we're triggered and we're so used to running from our emotions and feelings, we don't realize that we're triggered. So, for example, someone's in your DMs all the time and you ignore them because you don't want them. And then you have some type of sort of rejection or some type of abandonment that happens. Maybe you got yelled at work. Maybe you got in a fight with your dad. Maybe, the situation that you thought was going to work out is no longer going to work out. And so you say on a Tuesday night, I'm bored. Let me go to my DMs and, oh, he texted me. Let me just see what he talking about. And you respond. And you tell yourself it's because I'm bored and I don't have nothing to do. And you're not tracking the emotional train of why you were needing that validation, what you were looking for, and that you were looking for affirmation because there was something in you that was not feeling seen and supported and loved. So let's go to this place that's easy money. Right? Make you said I just did this. Baby likes a child as my life. It's so these are low hanging fruit. And this is what I mean. This is why I really emphasize the no contact process, the really getting support for this stuff, because you think that all this stuff is common knowledge. You think that, of course, like, this is easy. You tell me not to do this. I'm already doing that. I'm good. But you don't see all of the hidden ways that you continue to re-injure yourself and repeat these same patterns versus moving and breaking the change, breaking the chain. Yeah, Crimson said, ouch. If you can't say amen, say ouch. Oh, Maggie said, now we're getting tacos, and I know we shouldn't, girl. No judgment, because I've been there, but girl, you know. Okay, so without further ado, what should you do? Oh, for those who are interested in getting 30 days of support and doing the no contact process, clearing out all these toxic relationships, whether or not they were romantic, friendship, or familial. That includes even if you're co-parenting with someone or you're living in the same house with people. Like, there's so many nuances and layers to what makes it really hard to do no contact. For 30 days, starting on April 24th, I will be teaching the no contact process live. It's gonna be my last time teaching it. I'm writing a book on it, and I'm doing this coaching program at a very low price, especially for those of you who have invested in other programs with us, so that I can see on the ground level with this stage of teaching how this is landing for folks, where the gaps are, helping women get through it before I completely close it. Many of you know that I have been pulling back in many areas, and so I'm really excited to be able to do this for 30 days. If you're interested, you can go to blackgirlsfeel.org/no contact. The link is in the bio. or in the caption on Facebook or on YouTube. And then also for those who are like, I don't really need the no contact process, but I got a family thing that's going on May 11th, which I'll be talking about more later, but I'm telling you right now, in case you want to register, we will be having a workshop for coping with a conflictual relationship with your mother. And so would love for you to join that. That's going to be within our Healing Circle community, which is a membership community where I give more resources like this, like we're talking about here. It has been realived. So it is a monthly subscription and you can cancel at any time. So you can come for this workshop and leave, or if you like what's in there, if you like the community that you're building, you can stay for the next month's workshop. Okay. Miss Reed, hey, good to see ya. Courtney, the Black girl, said Black Girls Heal changed my life. Oh, thank you. Thank you, hon. Okay. What you need to do, what I suggest that you do. Oh, I got an oil stain on my shirt. My bad, y'all. It's been there this whole time. What I suggest you do to not get amnesia is not to hold on to it, right? And this probably is what y'all may have expected me to say, especially low key. If some of y'all know our no contact process, there's a little bit of remembering what happened. But my suggestion is not to hold on to it, to not keep it front of mind all the time. And the reason why is that stress of consistently having the bad things that happened in your head takes up space from all the abundance and all the love and all the freedom that you need. This person already are people, but this person has already run havoc in your life emotionally, mentally, spiritually, financially, maybe sexually, and completely consumed you. And now that they're gone, yeah, I gotta keep straight that I'm never gonna go back to him or never go back to her, and I'm never gonna go to people who are like them. And that's a lot of effort. Again, it's a lot of stress. It's also a lot of performance, because what happens when you slip up? What happens when you are human and you do miss them? What happens when you're used to always giving in because you're so used to being the nice person? Like, what happens when lifes? How does that affect you, right? And again, how do you live your life in the meantime? Lady D Empress said, thank you for saying that. Yeah. So what I suggest that you do, instead of focusing on what you don't want with this person, is, it's going to sound so simple, but I promise it's more complicated, which is why sometimes it's hard for us to do, is to focus on what you want and what your standards are in relationship. There's a coach I really like that her phrase that she uses is barriers to entry. What are your requirements for someone to be in your life? And, sometimes it's very easy. I feel like we talk about like standards and boundaries and stuff. And like, it's like a very like strict, like I imagine like a clipboard and, they got to talk to me this way and I got to do this. And until they do all this stuff, they ain't getting in the club, and even that is such a hard way to live life as an avoidant. That's an avoidant behavior. If you're constantly leading with a wall that people can't get in until they prove themselves to you, and that's not me talking about people who are introverts. That's not me talking about people who like to keep their circle safe. But I'm saying that every single person is identified as enemy. That's different than being picky about who you like in your crew and like who your vibes. But if everyone is identified as potential danger and threat, you, going back to what I said earlier about that intuition and that thought, you think that everybody, including the safe people, including the people who are there to support you and love you, have ill will. And you can spend a lot of time trying to put them through a ringer and a test that they don't even know exists, pushing them away because of something that you're projecting out. So when I talk about being clear about what your boundaries and standards are, I mean more things that are more open and uplifting. Instead of focusing on what you don't want, what is it that you do? How do I know what love feels like? When I'm loved by my friends, what does that feel like? What do I feel in my body? What are the things that they say to me? What are the things that they do for me? What are the things that they do with me? What are the expectations? How do they respond when I show up for them? How do I respond when they show up for me? I think that's the flip, right? So what does that feel like in a romantic partnership? What does love feel like for me? What does it feel like for me to be protected, for me to be honored, for me to be loved, for me to be celebrated, for me to be cherished? When you think about love and relationships, does your brain go straight towards trauma? And if you know anything about the subconscious and the mind doesn't understand the don'ts and the no's. So for example, if you're saying, you know what, I'm going to focus on not being anxious. And so I'm not anxious, I'm not anxious, I'm not anxious. Your brain does not, your subconscious, your brain does not understand not and don't. It hears anxious. So the more you focus on that, you're focusing and not instead of focusing on I'm not anxious, I'm not anxious, you're focusing on I'm anxious, I'm anxious. So what is it that you want instead? I am full of peace. I am full of peace. I'm full of peace, right? So when it comes to these relationships, what is it that you want, not what is it that you don't want? Does that make sense? Let me know in the chat because I've been talking for a minute. Let me know in the chat how that's landing for you and what your thoughts are. While I take a drink. Baby Lock said our community and is everything. Yes, our membership communities are. So she's a part of our recovery school. One of my OG alums who I love so much, and is like such a light in our space. Couldn't do it without you, my love. So she's one of our recovery school students, and she's been in I think almost every community I've put out. So thank you for that, my dear. Lady D Empress says the affirmations are so important. Yes, speaking life to yourself, it is so important. Sophisticated Cleaning says yes, that makes a lot of sense. Now I definitely going to make a list of what I do want and not what I don't want. Absolutely. Baby Loxer said I was just thinking about something like this today. Yes, that's awesome. And Cheyenne, I caught that. Cheyenne said, yes, I understand, make your wants want you. Yeah, and you need to want your wants. It's such a weird thing. I was talking with a friend earlier today about sometimes we can get so close to what we want and we even have it in our hands. And when we're not used to having what we want, it's scary. And again, we may not register the scariness because we've been praying for it this whole time. We've been yearning for it. We've been crying for it. We've been begging for it. So when it comes, you don't register that your body, that your spirit, that your mind does not know how to contain goodness without there being a catch, without there being a flaw, right? Because you've been rehearsing for the bad for so long. So you learning how to focus on the good and the abundance is so important, y'all. It's so important. It does not come naturally. It does not come easily if it's not something that you have had to unrehearse outside of you, right? Um, Lady D Empress said, I was practicing this today, reminding myself of the truths and not the negative loops that replay. Yes. And catching it, y'all, catching it. First of all, catching it, one can be hard because it's hard to catch, especially if you've been doing it a lot. Secondly, it's like, I don't want to change. Like, I don't, it's like, I don't want to change it. Like, this feels good. It feels safe. It feels to the point that I said earlier, your feelings feel true. They feel, it feels valid. It feels right for me to come and say that maybe what I'm thinking and maybe what I'm feeling and maybe what's triggering me is not true, that that's not actually what happened or what the person was intending or whatever else. It feels blasphemous. It feels unfair to you. It feels invalidating. It feels like you are triggering and traumatizing yourself the way that people triggered and traumatized you before, you know? So sometimes you don't want to reframe your thoughts because it feels better to be right, right? And other people need to get in the way or get in line. But I think sometimes that's also a scapegoat because the third thing I think of the reason why that can be hard is sometimes you don't know what to say. Going back to you're so used to living in that dysfunction. Um, and this is not because you're causing it or you like for it to happen. It's just what's normal for you in the subconscious that you don't even know how to reframe the thought in the situation that's happening. Like you don't, okay, I'm supposed to say the opposite. The opposite doesn't feel right. The opposite doesn't make sense. The opposite isn't true, you know? So it can be hard. Um, yes, think about what you want and not what you don't want. Mickey says, I'm working on this in therapy. Makes total sense. Takes practice. Absolutely. Preach. Child, like a Scotch got late lady the lady says, child, like a scratch gasm that you shouldn't be scratching. Yes, yes, those scratches be feeling good. They be feeling just right. Um, Crimson says, right, just when I was trying to be strong and let love in, a situation happens and it makes me pull back because I'm afraid to step forward. Absolutely. Rose from Concrete says, how do we do that besides affirmations? So, I talk a lot, in addition to being clear about what does it feel like for you, I talk a lot about, our favorite tools in the Recovery School program. The reason why I'm not getting into it is because we are already 45 minutes into this and I want to make sure that I have space for everything. And going over all of our tools would take a long time, but I really like affirmations. Someone else mentioned journaling. Getting in touch with your body. I've been talking a lot about body work, y'all, on the podcast recently, and kind of even leading y'all through stuff on the podcast, even though I know y'all be driving, y'all be working, y'all be doing other stuff. I'm trying to really get y'all comfortable connecting your brain and your body and your emotions and your experiences in your everyday. So those are a lot of things to get you started. But yeah, we talk more about the self-compassion, the brain changing, the getting grounded, and the redefine of your reality more in the recovery school. So that would be the best next step for you. Crimson says, right, just when I was trying to be strong and let love in, oh, I already read that. Yes, this part. I think everybody has a motive. Yes. We can get used to our own patterns. Thank you for laughing with me. Body work is so good. It's so good and it's so annoying to feel things in your body when you're so used to shutting your body off. So, any thoughts before we end for tonight? Any last minute thoughts, questions? Does it make sense to don't get amnesia when toxic people hurt you? Oh, that's the last thing I want to say. I knew I was stalling because there was another point. Um, in case I didn't make it clear before, not getting amnesia and being mindful of what you want. I know there's going to be some element of you maybe like remembering what happened before, right? Especially once you get clear on your standards and what you need and what you desire, there's going to be some element of um I remember when with somebody. Do not do that with people that you love that are healthy for you. I'll repeat that again. Do not count grievances and keep records and create a litigation packet against the people that you love. You will always win. Whatever you want to be true about somebody is going to be true. You're gonna find the evidence for it. If you believe that they are selfish, you're only going to be able to see things that you consider selfish. And everything that is contrary to that fact goes out the way. If you feel that they are immature, you're only going to be able to see how they're the same person that they were years ago or the week before, and you're not going to be able to acknowledge the growth and the changes that they've made. You're not going to see it, right? So when you are talking and when you are in discord with someone that you love, you need to see them where they are and who they are in the moment. Okay? If if there is something that has happened that has been hurtful to you and you have not shared it and it's still hurtful for you, guess whose responsibility that is to work through? It's yours. And that's not equal to me saying that you don't tell the person about it or you don't talk about it. But if you are going through pain and you're holding it in and you're not getting help, asking for help and support, you're expecting someone to mind read and you're holding the grudge for days and for weeks and for months. And meanwhile, you have in your head, I'm upset and they don't even care. And, whatever, whatever, whatever. You are proving yourself right. You will always prove yourself right. Nobody loves me. You're right. There's no good men out there. You are going to always be right. You're always going to create the reality that you want. And it's all based on your awareness. It's all based on your mindset. It's all based on your capacity. And to the point, one of the points I was saying earlier today, well, it wasn't today, I think it was on the podcast. Are you able to get to a place with everything that you know and everything that you've experienced? Are you open to say, this is what I feel is true and this is what I found to be true, but I'm open to having my mind changed. I'm open to changing my mind. I'm open to seeing things differently, right? So that's what I would leave y'all with. Lady the Empress says, thank you for the work you do. I didn't know that this was a thing until I started listening to your podcast. That's awesome. I'm so happy that this has been helpful. So as a recap, the two ways to work with me to work through this is we have our no contact support group, our ready to let go support group. It is a smaller intimate coaching group that I'm doing for 30 days. It's going to be my last time teaching the no contact process. I'm going to be leading women through how to let go of trauma bonded situationship relationships with either romantic partners, with friends, with family members. There are so many ways that we psych ourselves out, that we get cold feet, that we feel guilt, that we try to half-ass it and say, well, I'm not gonna do the full no contact process. I'm just gonna do this part because then I'll be a bad daughter. What if they end up meeting somebody else? But they're my friend, but I need them. They help me with XYZ. And we continue to stay in bondage towards relationships. I'm afraid that there's not going to be anybody else. We have so much baggage and history together. Does this mean I'll never have to talk to them again? I don't get to talk to them again. Like, none of those things are true, and there's space for everything, but there's emotional trauma and abandonment that happens with this that comes up, but it's not about the person, it's about things that are underneath. Right. And so we're going to do this for 30 days. You can go to blackgirlsheal.org/no contact. And again, if you're like, there's not really anyone I want to be in no contact for, but me and my mama, we got something going on. I'm going to talk about this more in the coming weeks, but I'm putting it on your radar now. And we will be having a workshop on May 11th, Thursday, May 11th, about coping with a conflictual relationship with your mother, you as an adult woman, coping with the nasty things that she may say, or if she doesn't say anything, if she withholds love and affection from you, if she intentionally triggers you, if she doesn't intentionally trigger you, if so much stuff has happened and she wants to move closer to you and you want to move closer to her, but the forgiveness is hard. We're going to be doing that in our Healing Circle community on May 11th. So you can join and get in touch with us then. So that's it. Sending you all love, and I hope you have a great night. Talk to you later. Bye.